but something's holding me back. You feed my ego, together we go. Talking dirty, playing cheap. I know I'm in too deep. Running out of kryptonite to take you through the night.
Good evening and welcome to Iowa, the land of corn, Brandon. It's going to be a fun one here tonight for the Hawkeye 125. I'm Greg Olenek, and like I already mentioned, joined by Brandon Domain here tonight. Brandon, you ready for some short track racing here?
I am ready, and I'm ready for the land of corn as long as we avoid the children of it. And it's going to be one of those nights. This race actually a little bit shorter than it was a season ago. That might increase the intensity a little bit as these guys are going to have to go for it. And oh, by the way, we're only 2 races away from the playoffs, including tonight. So that pressure already on a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, we've seen that pressure come out in the last 2 races. A lot of white knuckle racing here in week 12 in Speed Racing Network. Expecting a lot of the same here tonight for the Silverback Tag Series in these Xfinity Series cars. So let's check out these standings here after week 11. Only one driver clinched so far. That's the man that's been at the top for most of this season, Jacob Manning, with that 1 win next to his name. He is highlighted in green and locked into the playoffs. Joshua Balliet looking to clinch his way in after this week. Pretty much just has to start and roll out there on the field, and he's in. And a lot of these other guys, though, not going to be in that case here tonight. They're going to be trying to get clinched, but might be going into next week with a little bit of pressure at Michigan.
Yeah, I think if you're on the left side of this page, you're looking pretty good. You just need a solid result tonight, and you'll pretty much be locked in next week in Michigan. I think if you're Logan Truitt on back, you got some work to do to make sure that Michigan is at least going to set up for a decent showing there. Will get you set up. So within 30 points for Logan Truitt, Seth Reed, Max Service, Vincent Cortez, Logan Joyner, Jeff Radke, one of our race winners a couple races ago, and Dalton McKinney sitting there just 1 point out. 1 point in. I can tell you with experience that is not a comfortable feeling with 2 races to go.
Yeah, especially with a Silverback Series defending champion in Season 2. Adrian Schumacher just behind him, 1 point behind. He can easily strike at any moment, so definitely got his hands full with a few of these guys. Also got Corey Stahl just 6 points back. Kyle Spees, who won last night at Atlanta, he's sitting there 20 points back, tied with Josh Siegfried. Siegfried looking like he's kind of fast out here tonight. Also got Bo Tiffany as well, who's had his run in the playoffs in the past, sitting 30 points out. It's going to be tough for Bo, but still think if he can get a good run here tonight, he can really set himself up to maybe make his way in after Michigan.
Yeah, I think once you get to Bo Tiffany down to about Devin Zimmerman, you're getting to that point of you need 2 pretty much perfect storm weeks of racing out here to try to get yourself in there because that's just making up a whole lot of points. I think if you're Corey Stahl, Kyle Spees, Josh Siegfried, get 2 very good races in, and you need a little bit of help to move yourself in above that cut line, but it's not out of the question by any means.
Not out of the question by any means is the team standings either. Let's take a look at Week 11 results right here. JW Racing with a pretty good win over Murray Reed Motorsports last week. Blackout getting the surprise win over Tank, and then PVR winning over HLR with JBR getting that bye.
Yeah, that upset there with Blackout entering that week 2-7-1 against a 9-1 Tank Racing team. That was a huge upset there, and that's the nature of Talladega that we saw last week. Anybody's got a shot, and Blackouts just absolutely rose to the occasion there. JW still looking stout as they're closing in on Tank now with that little bit of a boost. And Phoenix Virtual Racing, I know we're both going to be a little bit biased on that, but they're sitting there quietly moving up into these, if you want to call it a power ranking of sorts, as they continue to hold a pretty strong grip on third.
Yeah, they are holding that grip right there. You see them at 6 and 5. Hard to catch Tank Racing right now with how well they're running, but Blackout with that win last week, moving them down to 9 and 2. JW has the points edge over Tank, but with that tie, they're going to be slotted in there in second place. So PBR is going to have to make up some ground here this week, as well as Murray Reedy Motorsports and JBR, both with 5 losses, but that tie setting them a little bit further back. Blackout and Highline really going to have a perfect finish to this season to make any noise. So let's check out this week's matchups, Brandon, before we get out there on track shortly. Who are you looking at here in week 12?
Now, the biggest one to me is going to be PBR and JBR. I think you're looking at 6 and 5, 5 and 1 in that matchup. That's going to be one of those separation matches right there. If PBR gets the win, they're going to get a very strong hold to third, especially if Tank holds serve against Murray Reedy Motorsports. They're kind of both in that log jam there, Murray Reedy and JBR. So if PBR and Tank win, that's huge for PBR. But I'm still also looking at that Tank Murray Reedy matchup, because Murray Reedy does have some horses here that can pull that upset. And Tank, they're sitting there. They had some strong runs, a little bit of a mixed bag, though, when it came to qualifying tonight. So that's one of those ones that might sneak up on them here.
Yeah, another thing to point out as well, Tank, I believe, only has 3 cars in the field here this evening. So they're going to need a perfect run from all 3 of those cars. If one gets into trouble, Murray Reedy might be able to strike with 4 cars out there tonight. So definitely keep an eye on all 4 of these matchups, but looking like they're about to get gridded out there. So what do you say we head on out to Iowa?
Oh, let's do it. Some little short track racing tonight on a Thursday.
So Jovi Ray getting that pole here. Cody Neal, 0.02 of a second off his pace here. So that's your front row here this evening. Austin Reedy, Joshua Balliet, that is going to be row number 2.
In row number 3, it'll be Cole Martin on the inside, starting in position number 5, with Josh Siegfried starting in position 6. This is a big opportunity here for Siegfried, trying to move above that cut line. Seth Reed and Max Service will make up row number 4. Daniel Bowdler and Jeremy Little, PVR teammates, will make up row number 5. And then Adrian Schumacher, the first driver, out right now by just 1 point, starting in 11th, with Corey Stahl on the outside of row 6.
Yeah, so going through the rest of the field, you got Jacob Zala, Logan Truitt in row 7, Craig Lautenslager and Michael Larch here in row number 8. Jacob Manning, our points leader, back in 17th. He's in row 9 along with Nathan De La Rosa. And Dave Fuchs Jr. and Jonathan Byer are going to round out the top 20 here. So 29 cars in the field. What do you say we go ahead and make some picks before we see these guys pull off behind that iRacing pace car?
Hey, why not? We do it every time, and I'm not too sure if we're going to have 1 lap or 2 actually going around Iowa on this one. It's a short track, but it ain't much of one, so I'll make this one a little bit quick. I kind of like the patience here. I think this is going to be one of those slow and steady wins the races, keep that car clean. That fits Daniel Bowdler in that 6 pretty well. He's starting in position number 9 tonight. I think he'll have a pretty strong run there.
Okay, I like that pick here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and move a little bit ahead of Daniel Bowdler and take that 51 of Seth Reed here tonight. And why not? I feel like he is due for a win with how he started this season with JW. I think he's due here in week 12, just before we get to that playoff push.
Not a bad pick any time to go with Seth Reed. And I got to tell you, I'm a little surprised at the position that he's sitting in there. Still 25 points clear, but he's got some work to do to make himself locked into the playoffs. And well, I was wondering if we had 1 or 2 laps here. It's 2 laps.
Yeah, that pace car is really fooling us with those lights off. I thought we would see it go down pit road right there, but a lot of drivers in the field here tonight with the capability of winning here. And like we keep saying, too, they're going to need to maybe pull something out of their hat here tonight, maybe make some kind of crazy call that gets their car to the end in victory lane. Who do you think is out here might be willing to make that call?
Man, I mean, you got to look at some of the guys that are in position that need that home run cut, and you look at a Josh Siegfried, a Corey Stahl. Those are going to be two guys that are in that position that they really got to kind of go against the grain if they're going to want to make a big jump there. And then you're looking farther back even at a Nathan De La Rosa, Josh Marcy, some guys like that are way out of there and need a huge swing. They might have to go completely atypical to try to catch the field off guard.
We'll see who is able to do just that, as that pace car is going to go ahead down pit road now and leave the field in the hands of Jovi Ray. And we see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving here at Iowa Speedway. Turn 4 in a side-by-side battle for the lead. Just like that, Austin Reedy gets out to the inside of the 24, Jovi Ray, and we got a battle on our hands for first.
And it's so easy to go side-by-side at this racetrack. Little bit of progressive banking. Goes from 12 degrees down low to 14 degrees on the higher lines. So not a huge difference, and that's going to bode for some good side-by-side racing like we just saw. Little bit of a wall scrape there for Jovi. Not going to be a huge factor, though, at this kind of a short track. 7/8 of a mile. The aero not going to matter a ton compared to some of these other racetracks. But that progressive banking going to come into play for a lot of guys tonight.
So far, Jovi pretty much using all of the racetrack. Austin Reedy way up high here. We'll see if he can get a run out of 4. Not going to be able to get up to the bumper of Jovi at the moment, and kind of single filing out for about the first 6 or 7 cars, and then you see it get all sorts of scattered. This is Josh Siegfried to the inside of our outside row number 1 qualifying car. Cody Neal falling back to 6 just like that.
Yeah, a little surprising. That outside line does have some juice in it, and especially in practice, you were seeing a lot of cars really liking that kind of middle line where you're putting the right sides on the slightly higher banking, the left side's a little bit on the lower side of that banking, and really trying to just roll that car through these turns. So not too sure. Maybe Cody just kind of taking it easy here, thinking that there might be a longer run coming, and these tires are going to fade pretty quickly out here, especially that right front.
So taking a ride on board, the 47 of Cody Neal. He's got the Fireball sponsor on the hood of that Highline Racing Chevy, and still battling side by side along with Joshua Siegfried. Siegfried, one of those drivers needing that Hail Mary here tonight. It's 20 points behind the cut line. He's going to need every point, though. He's going to opt to get behind Cody Neal here and live the fight another day before he burns those tires off. That side-by-side racing here at short tracks can really eat it up quickly.
Yeah, I kind of experienced that on Tuesday pretty early on, that's for sure. That side-by-side, not necessarily the best, no matter if it's high bank or moderate bank here. But I think for Josh, that was a smart move. Get behind Cody. It's going to save the tires, but it's also smart. He knows he's got a teammate right back there in that 26 car behind him. So I think he kind of saw that opportunity of just saying, you know what, if you're back there, let me in line, please, and I'll save these tires a little bit.
Yeah, another one not too far behind him. So far, a lot of PPR cars making their way up to the front. Here's your pick, Daniel Bowdler. Just got by Corey Stahl here, running just outside the top 10. Right behind Max Service. So single file pretty much all the way through the field. Right here, you got Craig Lautenslager. It's outside of Jacob Manning. So Jacob trying to make his way up 3 positions from where he began in 17th here tonight.
And kind of nice. Oh, trouble, Nathan De La Rosa.
He's going to come right down in front of his teammate there, the 36 of Jack Johnson.
Man, that is just unfortunate there, and that's going to be a double impact for sure for these JBR cars. And this first caution, it might be a triple. Did he get into fire? Yeah, so teammate on teammate there. Michael Larch going to get caught up in the follow-through of it coming off of turn 4, and that's just some real tight racing that went very, very wrong with 3 out of the 5 JBR cars getting caught up in that.
I'll tell you what, too. I mean, I got a similar hit to that yesterday in Atlanta, and that could be some significant damage here for Jack Johnson in this 36 machine. We'll ride on board here, and it didn't take much, and my day was done. Let's see the onboard. So sees it happening.
Yeah, he does everything he can there, and just, man, just bad, wrong place at the wrong time. And that's going to be one of those ones that you just kind of second guess yourself after, and you're like, man, what could I have done different? And you see it all in hindsight, but in the moment, it all happens so fast. And once you commit to that apron, it's so hard to kind of get out of there. And he tried everything he could, just unable to get away there. Hopefully that 36 not going to be too damaged, but it looks like the 66, that's a handful just going around there at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, the entire JBR team is on pit road along with Logan Truitt right now. So all four of them opting to come down. And yeah, that is some big time damage, I feel like, for the 66. So we'll see if the 36, 66 can get their cars fixed up. Not too many takers on pit road this time by. Does that surprise you here?
It kind of does and kind of doesn't. Yeah, that right front's going to fall off a little bit, but I think track position's still going to be a big factor in this one. We only got about 9 green flag laps there before that caution came out, so it's not going to be a ton of wear. I think these guys right now are saying, I'd rather have that track position, stay out towards the front of things, and if there's another caution, it'll be behind me at this rate.
So getting the 1 to go signal here from Barney in the stand. He's got the best job in the house as always. He's called a lot of races here in his career, Brandon, but calling another one here tonight for the Hawkeye 125.
He's seen some things.
He's seen a lot of things, I would say. Even in just my time covering a lot of these SRN races, man. Barney, I tell you. Oh wait, we still got the pace car lights on, so he's lying. He's lying up here holding up that flag and making us look like a fool too. So. Barney.
he's a kidder.
I took that way too far.
But yeah, that's and you were talking about how that impact can kind of throw off some stuff there like it did with the 36, and hopefully that's going to be all right. You talk about how you had that last night. I had that on Tuesday. Sometimes those hits that don't look that bad really mess up these cars, especially when you catch it on the right front or the left front, can really mess up that suspension. So hopefully that's not the case for that 36 car.
Yeah, and there's also a moment when all this is happening too, where you're just like, you give up because you thought you did the right thing, and that car just lands right in front of you. And I think that's probably all three of our cases here this week, you, me, and Jack Johnson, that is. And hopefully he can get it fixed. He's coming back out here onto the track. Probably going to be able to save a lap. Yep, he's going to come out on the lead lap in 27. So we'll see if he can make his way up through the field with the rest of his JBR teammates here. They're going to have a tough time all the way back there in the back. But Jovi Ray up here, he's going to get this thing started off. He's going to take the outside.
Yeah, and I think he's seeing that outside line is going to start to come into play more, especially as these tires start to slowly kind of wear away. At this point in the run, I think he's going to want that banking and try to get that drive into 1 and 2, carry a little bit more speed and protect that lead. This might be a good call, but I think it's going to tell a lot of the field what to do over the course of the remainder of this race.
So the pace car bringing them around to the Geico restart zone, where we will see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving once again here. Jovi gets out to a good start and will take him down into turn number 1.
That's a great jump there for the 24 car. Austin Reedy still going to hold on to that number 2 position, though, but he's got Josh Balliette and Seth Reed hot on his tail at this point as they're side by side in that race for third, coming down into turn 3.
Austin Reedy really using all the track right there. Seth Reed was right behind him, so they're 1, 2, 3 off of 4. Balliette settles into 4th right there in single file through our top 5. Just behind them there, Cody Neal's got a full mirror there, his rear view mirror.
Yeah, he's looking at that 36 of Jacob Zala. Yeah, we got a couple 36s. He's driving the 35 tonight, but notice the 36. There we go again with the number thing. But he's also got Josh Siegfried, Jeremy Little, all breathing down. This is the part, if you're Cody Neal, you might not really like right now. He's going to be kind of stuck there on that inside line. There's going to be a lot of momentum coming out high on that high line out of these turns. He might be getting freight trained here pretty soon.
Also Zala there in the 35. He's going to try and work with Siegfried here. He's got Jeremy Little just behind him in that 26. Little making his first appearance back in the Silverback Series in a few weeks, so good to see him back here in that 26. But now Jacob Manning going right through the field here, feeling good in that 50 here tonight. Might be looking at maybe trying to make his second trip to victory lane here in the Silverback Series right before we get to the playoffs. Knows he's locked in, doesn't have much to lose.
Was just going to say, all these guys sitting here thinking, I got to make it to the finish to get this good points night at the very least. Jacob Manning, he's got nothing to lose. He can be super aggressive early on and use up these tires and see how this race falls into line. He's got absolutely no worries here. Still a 15-point lead on Josh Balliet for that regular season championship, but I mean, that's just going to be some bonus points at this point once we get to the playoff side. So there's something to race for, but he's a whole lot more relaxed out here tonight.
He might be a little bit more relaxed now, seeing that they were 3 wide. He's not getting that crazy, as they are really trying to defend everything. Cole Martin going to slide up in front of Josh Siegfried here. Siegfried going to get a run to the inside, and these guys just swapping lanes pretty much. So now the 60 down low, and here comes Jacob Zala to the middle, so kind of a wow, that got really tight there. Zala gets out of it, and that could have been bad.
And that's going to be a tough part here for Zala running up here in the front of this field. He's kind of the irregular driver in the Silverback Tax Series here in these Xfinity cars, and so he's going to have to kind of understand where everybody is based on what their habits are. And you know, he's normally an aggressive driver out there in the first place. There's a whole lot of pressure on some of these guys, though. They're not going to be given that much. So this is kind of a interesting point in this race for Zala here, as he's going to have to really mind his P's and Q's in this race, as Sean Griffith would say. And it's just going to be a tough situation here throughout this race as he's trying to move up front.
Yeah, you want to be a kind visitor whenever you're racing in any of the 3 series that you're not typically a part of here, and he's doing pretty well here tonight. You know, he's got a little bit of a reputation, but not too bad. He's a very competitive driver, and that's exactly why he has moved up to 5th, up 8 spots from where he started. So Zala now in the top 5, but still a 3-wide battle here for 6th.
That was a move and a half from Jacob Manning trying to catch Cole Martin off guard. He dove it in deep, and they're still 3 wide off of 4 with, it looks like that was Little, Benson, and I couldn't tell who that is. There's Logan Truitt on the far inside. And by the way, Kyle Benson, that's a name we haven't mentioned at all tonight. Oh, by the way, he won last time we were here in Iowa. Started near the back. He's already working his way through from 22nd up to 13th.
Yeah, I definitely considered Kyle when I was going to make my pick here earlier on in the night, but you know, he's got a shot at every track we go to, so no surprise to see that one car moving up through the field. And still moving up through the field is going to be Jacob Zala now taking a look to the inside of Joshua Balliet here.
Yeah, he's taking that look, and man, it's like he's trying to find the line that Josh isn't going to be running, and that's going to be tough here because there's so many different ways around the turns here. Really, that primary way seems to be the middle, and a little bit of a shove there into the turn, trying to get him out of line a little bit. I think there was a little bit of contact. If not, it was very close there. Just trying to get that 7 a little uncomfortable to make it easier to make the pass, and you see him looks low, looks high, trying to find the way around here against a very fast 7 car.
Yeah, look behind them. That brought the pack right back up to them. Josh Siegfried sitting there in 6th, still defending Jacob Manning. You got to wonder if Jacob is kind of pushing these guys a little more than they wanted to run, with seeing how fast and how aggressive he's racing up through the field. Got to imagine that's making these guys step out a little more than they want to.
Yeah, there's always going to be that rabbit in the field, and I think it changes week to week. Sometimes you get used to somebody kind of being that guy, and it's just tough. Sometimes it's just kind of a more aggressive style of driving. Sometimes it's kind of anticipating a different way that the race goes, too. There was a little bit... throw myself under the bus. There was a little bit on Tuesday racing at Bristol. I thought, all right, we're going to get a short run here. There's going to be some kind of a problem. Be a little aggressive early on. That didn't work. I wanted to lap down pretty early, blowing up those tires. So sometimes you're the rabbit by choice. Sometimes you're just because you make the wrong call. But either way, it does affect some of the guys in the field because we're all racers. You start thinking, hey, I got to go if this guy's going.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's happening right now as Austin Reedy on the bumper of Joby Ray exiting forward. We got a battle for the lead on lap 29 of 140 here tonight at Iowa. So a great battle on hand out in front.
Really good battle out here, and these 3 about 2 seconds clear of the rest of the field. Ray, Reedy, and Reed. Man, that's a law firm sounding deal right there. But I mean, they're really starting to pull away as Balliet and Zal have been racing hard. Actually, you see, looks like there's a little bit of a stack up back there in that second pack too. As I saw Josh Siegfried lose a few spots, Zala lost a little bit of time. Not too sure what happened there. Maybe just a little bit of a stack up.
It looks like it's all sorted out, but still not sorted out up front. Austin Reedy taking a look to the inside. Jovi Ray on the outside here. Reedy gonna try and pull the slide job. Doesn't have it. Ray almost gets into the wall there. Drag race into turn number 1.
Man, there's still 110 laps to go here. Oh, a little bit of contact, and you see Jovi back off. That was clearly a sign of, I did not mean to do that, and he just let out big time to make sure that Reedy collected it. What that's going to do, though, is give Seth Reed a wide open window to fit himself through and grab second place.
So now Reedy, Reed, Ray a lap later here, and that sounds like a boy band almost when you say it that way. So a little bit of different now. Not the law firm, it's a boy band.
Slight career change, a little bit of an odd aspect there, but now that these guys have sorted it out, one thing I did want to bring up, you look at the pylon here as it slides over to the next screen, you're going to see Nathan De La Rosa out of the race after that impact that he had in that first caution. Dalton McKinney was here, didn't start the race, but what that's going to do is lock him into 29th place tonight. Either way, that's still going to be a drop week. So our guy on the bubble by 1 point is going to have his 3rd worst finish of the season here.
Oof. Adrian Schumacher currently running 20th. Still, that's going to help him out regardless. Seeing he's had some blinking issues out there tonight in the 82, but still going to keep it out there for the time being, down 9 spots. So we'll keep an eye on Schumacher. He's going to need to make the most of tonight being that 16th place car. But seeing what other battles we got going on out there right now, and still seeing Josh Siegfried right on the bumper of Zala here. These like 4 or 5 cars have been nose to tail for quite some time during this run.
And I tell you what, he's sitting in a great position right now. Ooh, Zala up against the wall, coming off of turn 4, getting loose there. I think we're starting to see that he might have pushed those tires a little bit too hard, really starting to fall back now. But Siegfried in a great position right now, and that's because McKinney going to finish 29th. You see Schumacher running into 20th position right now and having some blinking issues. Corey Stahl in 21st. Siegfried sitting there in 7th. He might be finding himself, even though he came into this race 20 points out, might be finding himself above that cut line if the race ended right now.
So riding on board Daniel Bowdler's number 6 machine. He's riding right behind his teammate there, Josh Siegfried. Siegfried going to the inside of Jacob Zala, but Bowdler just slowly making his way up through the field here now. Dropped back a little bit there at the start of this race, and now here on the long run starting to come to life a little bit. So good to see Bowdler making his way. And, started off a little rough here coming back here in season number 4, but starting to get his hot rod back up towards the front like we're used to seeing.
Yeah, just needed a little time, a little confidence to rebuild here. And, you kind of get out of the rhythm a little bit, and I think he's really starting to find it. And right now, man, we were talking about how if you're Jacob Zala, you got to kind of figure out how you're going to race everybody else that you're not as familiar with. Same goes the other way around. You get a driver you're not as familiar with, you got to figure out how to race them too. And I think they were trying, Siegfried and Bowdler both trying to figure out, all right, what are the tendencies here trying to get around them? Because Zala normally in the truck series running Xfinity tonight.
Yeah, so he is trying to make his way back up. He's got some of his JBR teammates that he runs with in the truck series he's trying to work with here tonight as well. So currently running 8th for that 35 machine. So right now the battle here for 2nd. Seth Reed took it away from Jovi Ray a few laps ago. Jovi not going away though. He's still hanging around. Austin Reed trying to maintain that 0.7 of a second lead.
Yeah, and it's kind of largely stayed the same here since Reedy moved up to the point, and he's been really strong on the entry. I think that we're seeing both Reed and Ray a little bit stronger on the exit of the turn, so they're kind of battling styles and how they want to work their way around here. And behind them, Balliet and Manning just kind of holding steady. They haven't really lost any ground. They haven't made up a ton of ground. They've just been kind of floating around that 2.5, 2.7 mark. So I think everybody really finding a pretty neutral pace for the most part out here.
Yeah, you got to be really happy, though, if you're Jacob Manning back there in the 50 machine. He started kind of mid to back of the pack here and has made his way up to 5th here in that 50. Kind of settled in right now behind Balliet after making that big push here, but I think this is going to pay off big time now with 100 laps to go. Still plenty of time to maybe make work and maybe move up 4 more spots.
And he's one of 3 huge movers thus far. He's plus 12. I'm also seeing Kyle Benson now up in the 10th position. He's plus 12 after starting in 22nd. Biggest mover, though, it's going to be Logan Joyner back in 14th position, started in 27th. So we got 3 drivers in 40 laps have all gained over a dozen spots out there.
Yeah, there's the number 9 Sun Drop Machine running just behind Max Service. Got Justin Rideout behind him. Rideout making another appearance here in the Silverback Series, and that's the 35 of Jacob Zala in the wall.
I'm telling you, those tires are smoked on that 35 car. You could see it a few laps ago when he was getting real loose out there in turn 4, coming off that exit, and that car just looks like a handful right now.
It looks pretty beat up too, I'm not gonna lie here, and he lost a lot of spots. Let's go ahead and see if I can cue that back up here. Oh, gets loose again.
And that's a huge difference, and I could tell you, because, you know, coming from trucks to Xfinity a couple seasons ago, the biggest difference I had was just how tight these race cars are, how different they feel compared to the truck when those tires start to go. It is a whole different animal out there than what you're used to in a truck, and that is a difference that will really come up and bite some drivers. We got caution out on the racetrack.
All right, we'll go back live and see what we got here. Oop. Wrong button there. I knew that was going to happen right when I tried to go check it out. So is it the 35? Not too sure. I didn't get any crash indicators here over on my SDK. Might have been just in front of him. Yeah, so this is 13. I think that was Cole Martin too involved.
Ooh, Jeff Radke caught up in that too. If he's got any significant damage, that's going to be huge on the point side of things. I believe that was Josh Susi also.
Yeah, so the 8 back here, you see them 2 cars back. 22. Dave Fuchs Jr. making a first appearance here in the Silverback Series as well. Nowhere for him to go. Yeah, it just looked like they made contact through the turns. Not seeing too much fault on anybody here.
Yeah, that was kind of just, we always talk about racing incidents or not. That kind of just feels like a racing incident. There was just 2 guys going for the same spot. Yeah, I mean, it just looked like Beyer thought that maybe Martin was going down a little bit more. Martin thought that Beyer was going to hold up a little bit higher and just kind of meet in the middle there. And just unfortunate for Fuge and also for Radke getting some follow-through damage on that one. Doesn't look like anybody really got too torn up, though.
Let's see if I can figure out what happened to Jacob Zala here, too. So this is Cody Neal. That's Jacob Zala just in front of him. So Benson makes contact with Zala there and throws him into the wall there.
Everything was kind of telling it would be just tires being gone, but no, just it's very similar, just on the opposite end of things. Instead of it being going into the turn for those 2, it was just going out of the turn, where I think Benson thought that Zala was going to be drifting up a little bit more, a little bit sooner. Zala just didn't anticipate Benson coming up the way that he did. And I mean, those are 2 pretty textbook racing incidents there.
Absolutely. So we'll step aside real quick under caution. Austin Reedy's going to be our leader once we go green again here for the Hawkeye 125. Don't go anywhere.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, back out here for the Hawkeye 125. Brandon the pace car, lights are off. Austin Reedy going to restart P number 1, something he hasn't done here yet tonight after Jovi Ray started here in the pole position. Austin Reedy now going to try that outside lane.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the telltale sign right there. Jovi got a great jump on the high line, and I think with just the way that these restarts have gone lately, it's just a double advantage, being able to get that arc a little bit more naturally into turn 1. So I think we're going to see the race leader take that high line every time now.
Pace car goes down pit lane quickly. The Geico restart zone pops up on these drivers, and just like that, we're back underway here for the Hawkeye 125. Austin Reedy out to a great jump. Jovi Ray taking second away, sole possession of that. Now Seth Reed's got a battle on his hands. Joshua Balliet for third.
Yeah, that's going to be real tight. Keep an eye on Bowdler right there, too. He's just kind of waiting to see which line is going to go out of that battle between Reed and Balliet. And then everybody, for the most part, getting pretty single file. Got a couple of guys kind of leaning down into that inside line, maybe about 6 or 7 cars throughout the field. But for the most part, everybody kind of getting it sorted out quickly.
Yeah, so that's what we want to see, especially when we're short track racing under the lights here at Iowa. And you wouldn't think the same here early or farther on up here, because Balliet's not quitting on Seth Reed, trying to get that inside lane to work, but now he's got Bowdler right on the bumper. Manning wanting to get by 2 here.
It's so weird at this racetrack, too, because the progressive banking isn't that much of a difference. It's only 2 degrees. That inside line just looks so inviting, and because most people kind of drift up to the middle or the high line, it really opens up, and you feel like you can roll that car pretty deep into there. But that 2-degree difference on the banking just makes a world of difference around this racetrack, especially with how much tighter that turn is around that inside line. It just really scrubs off some speed. It's kind of a deceptive racetrack and how that works.
Deceptive but fun racetrack indeed. And that dust you see getting kicked up at back there, that's from Jeremy Little running up against the wall. Might see it again here on this shot, but not as close this time by. A few others back there doing it. Some guys really up on this wall in the front straightaway. Got to be careful with it having kind of a turn the whole way through that front stretch. You can really get into the wall there and mess your night up in a hurry.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we can still call it the Larson line, running way up high out there. I don't think that's officially going to be the Chastain line unless it's the last lap and you're just mashing the throttle the whole way around. But that's a way around here. I mean, it does, like we keep talking about the progressive banking, it's going to be the highest up there on that high line by an extra degree there. So it's got some speed, but man, that thing is just wild loose trying to hang on that high line because not many people go up there. And the sim actually does a really good job about keeping those unused lines pretty dusty and getting those rubber, the marbles up there really built up.
So the battle settles down in third for the time being, but Jovi Ray is lurking back here in second. He wants to put that 24 Jeff Gordon paint scheme back out in front here at Iowa, but it's got a hard pass here with Austin Reedy out in front and this 96 machine. Wanting to put a good night out there for his Murray Reedy Motorsports guys. Kyle Benson also back there in 7th, and Craig Lautenslager is in 12th. So going up against Tank right now, they're feeling pretty good. The only Tank car in sight is going to be Joshua Balliet in 3rd. Next closest, Brandon, Adrian Schumacher back in 20th.
Man, this could be absolutely huge on the team side of things if this result holds. Back-to-back losses for Tank for the first time this season, and if you're JW, you're sitting there just saying, heck yeah! All of a sudden, we're right back in this race for number 1, and that's the first time we've been able to say that in quite a few weeks. Once Tank kind of gapped the field just a little bit, they're getting yanked right back towards everybody.
Yeah, and heck, I mean, number 2 is just as good. 2 teams going to go to that 3-race playoff for the team championship, the best of 3 playoff, that is. So all you got to do is be second. So, I mean, first, obviously, a little bit better. But, hey, they're still in this thing. And if they get that win here tonight, you're right, that will go a long, long way. Some tight racing right here and some tight racing back a little bit further. Manning and Bowler made really close, almost made contact there through 1 and 2, and man, they're making it work so far.
They're making it work, and that's not too much of a shock that it's working. I was a little surprised how close they got a second ago, just because these are 2 of the cleaner drivers in the series out there, getting real aggressive with each other, and that just tells you how important the track position is as we get deeper and deeper into this run.
Yeah, Bowdler is one of those drivers trying to clinch his way into the playoffs in tonight's race. Wants a good race here tonight, so he doesn't have to worry too much when we get out to Michigan next week. But here's an updated list here coming into this week. These are the drivers sitting on the cut line, so we can see how they are doing so far. Max Service, who came into this week sitting 11th, currently running 22nd here tonight. Can't feel too good about that. Plus 21 coming in there in week 12. So Cortez, I don't even see him out there on the field tonight, so that's going to be a hit for him. Logan Joyner having a good night, currently running 9th, so that's going to help his cause. Jeff Rackey, we saw involved in that incident a little while ago. He's currently running P number 16, with Dalton McKinney not having the best night either. You mentioned 29th and out of this race.
Yeah, and then you look behind that cut line, you got Adrian Schumacher sitting in the 17th position. Corey Stahl off to a little bit of a slow start, but starting to rebound a little bit. He's made his way back up to 18th. Kyle Spees not in the field. Josh Siegfried has been in the top 10 all night long, and Bo Tiffany to round out that top 20 there. Bo Tiffany is sitting in the 20th position in the race as well. So this is a wide open opportunity with how this race has started for Josh Siegfried because of some of the trouble that we've seen for some of these guys above that cut line and also directly above him. This is, I mean, we talk about 20 points being a big gap to make up, but he's got a shot at it the way that this is playing out.
Yeah, so far so good for the driver of the 60 machine. Another name we saw on there was Nick Halda. Got to give a quick shout out to my buddy and my partner here on Tuesday nights. Had a surgery not too long ago, so wishing him all the best. So JW, a man down here for the next couple of weeks, but you wouldn't know it. They're having a pretty good night so far with Seth Reed and Jacob Manning 4th and 5th. Susie in that trouble a little while ago. He's back in 21st with Larch in 23rd. So that's a team update here, nearing the halfway point of this one. And a lot of familiar faces up to the front here, but still this battle for the lead not letting up.
No, it's kind of interesting how this race is played out. Once you kind of break away from that pack a little bit, it just seems like you stick around each other if you kind of get clear. We saw that with, man, I'm going to say this one again, Reedy, Reed, and Ray earlier. Now it's just Reedy and Ray that have kind of broken away, but they're just kind of maintaining that gap. Back to everybody else back in the field. This is a little bit of an awkward slide for both of them there. Kind of misjudged each other, I think, and that really cut that interval down about 0.2 of a second in 3 and 4.
Yeah, so that battle is tightening up as always. Still the top 10 within 3 seconds of our leader, too. Says a lot about the strength of the field here tonight. A 20 lap run so far, so this is when we're going to start to see that fall off really step up here. And man, did we ever see that on Tuesday at the Bristol Motor Speedway race in the Cup Series? It kind of caught us by surprise up here in the booth. I don't know if we'll see that exactly here tonight, but we saw how it affected that 35. Zala got real tight there after he made a big push up to the front and eventually affected the handling on the card where he was falling like a rock.
Yeah, it's real tough, and just even looking at these early lap times here for Austin Reedy, our race leader, he was running a 24.0 on lap number 52. 15 laps later, already a 25.1 out there on the racetrack just about. So he's fallen off about a tenth of a second a lap here in the last dozen laps or so. That fall off hits quick out there.
Man, I'll tell you what, you win a race here in the Silverback Series, you get a good-looking race car the next couple of weeks. That 8 looks good out here, still trying to make his way back up through the field. Jeffrey Radke currently running in 17, so that's one of those drivers you mentioned. Going to keep our eye on here tonight. He's going to need to make up some spots here if he wants to keep his name in white above that cut line.
And it's tough, you know, it's one of those things that you really just feel the pressure, and there's some guys that are going to say, there's no real pressure, just going to run it like normal, but that does creep into the back of your mind when you're dancing around that cut line, whether above it or below it. If you're close to it, it just adds that extra pressure. You know, I know for next week at Michigan, I'm feeling that pressure, even though I'm kind of decent, but it just adds that element where you just have that uncertainty of, man, if I make one mistake, is anybody else going to make a mistake? Is that one of those things, like, you feel like you have to be a little bit perfect, and that's something as a race car driver, there's very few times that you're going to feel perfect on a lap, let alone a race.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, that pressure is warranted when you consider the fact that in the rules it reads clearly that you cannot drop week 13. We have 3 drop weeks throughout the course of the season here in SRN, and you can't use it in the last week of the regular season. So you have a bad race, that is really going to open up the door for someone behind you.
Yeah, and that just, for anybody that's kind of new to this, that's just for clarity. So everybody knows what they need going into that final race. You can drop your 3 worst finishes, aside from disqualifications, in weeks 1 through 12. Week 13 and in the playoffs, nothing like that's around. So you're just kind of stuck with what you got at that point. But it's going to make it where we know and we can tell everybody watching, and the drivers are definitely going to know what they need next week at Michigan when we get to that regular season finale week.
Really helps us a lot up here in the booth, so we're not crunching the wrong numbers. It would be really hard to figure out who is advancing and who isn't. So you're exactly right. It is kind of so you know what you need going into a situation. So we'll figure that out in a few days' time after tonight's race, what everybody does need exactly going into week 13 at Michigan. But right now, just trying to get everything they can here. And we mentioned it, Brandon, when we went to break, Max Service stayed out and ultimately sacrificed any track position that he had to get an all-important bonus point. So keep an eye on that for the 81 as well.
Yeah, that was an interesting call, too, because he was kind of dancing around the top 10, top 12 for a lot of that early run. I think the lowest I might have saw him was maybe 15th, if I saw that correctly. So him sacrificing that put him at the tail end of the lead lap, which was 25th position after that. So he went for that bonus point. I don't know if that's really what he needed to focus on, though, at that point, because that's giving up a whole lot of spots, and you're not really getting a whole lot of reward and not getting a whole lot of extra tire life even. There's 1 lap under caution. That ain't really going to help you out a whole lot.
We'll see if it works out for him. I'm a big fan of these bonus points here. You got to get them wherever you can, and that's exactly what he did. He took an opportunity, and we'll see if it pays off. But right now, Kyle Benson up 15 spots so far in 7th. Wants 1 more knocking on the door of Daniel Ballard.
Man, that 1 car, we talked about it earlier, winner of last season, had the 3rd most laps led in the process, but was leading the laps when they mattered most. And he's starting to set himself up to be in a similar position that he was in last season, just really inching his way through. I mean, you talk about that plus 15 in the first 79 laps of this race, but it's going to get a whole lot harder now because we got some fast cars out there tonight with 60 laps to go.
Yeah, so why don't we just take a ride around for a few laps here, ride on board with this one while he works on the 6 at Daniel Ballard.
You see these cars getting real snug up against that wall coming into turn 2, and this is really kind of dealer's choice going through 3 and 4. You can kind of go with that low line. You can take the middle. A lot of guys really starting to ride that high line where it's going to be banked the highest at 14 degrees. Coming down that front straightaway, they're going to be getting pretty close to red line in that thing. And now it looks like the line really going to be that inside line, a little bit of a late apex going through 1 and 2. So both sides of the track, they look pretty symmetrical to each other. Very, very different there, though.
So yeah, coming back out of 4, you can see just in front of him how loose some of these guys are coming out of 4. And Jacob Manning trying to get everything out of that 50. He's kind of stalled out there in the 5th position in that 50 car. Hasn't made much more progress past it. And so far has some tough company ahead of him with Reed, Valiette, Ray, and Reedy all out in the top 4.
And really looking around the racetrack, not seeing too many battles right now either. Everybody just kind of really taking it easy on each other. I think the first real battle that I just saw was Cody Neal and Justin Rideout, and they just got it sorted out. That was back for 14th place.
So we'll keep an eye on this battle here. Let's see what other battles we got going on further on back here. Justin Rideout working on Lautenschlager. This is for 12th here. Rideout still a visitor in the Silverback Series. Got his other JW cars out there having a great night, but he wants to get up here and get a win here before this season's over. Was in contention last week. Looking good here tonight.
And I'll tell you what, he's looked a lot more confident out there, and I think that's just the seat time. That's what he's been going for, too. He's talking about having fun, getting in the seat, and just kind of running some of the tracks that he really likes here in these Xfinity. Oh, no!
Lautenschlager into the wall hard there.
And that's the position you don't want to put yourself in when you're kind of jumping into a series that you normally don't run, and that's just tough. And man, that's unfortunate. It looks like the 99 going to carry on pretty well. I thought that was going to be a whole lot more damage to that 99 car for Craig Lautenschlager. He kind of got away with that one there. He's going to lose some spots, but man, that's a tough break there.
He's got a little bit of right front damage there. Not too bad, though. He can get that fixed up. And like we said at Bristol, too, short track racing, you're not too much dependent on those aerodynamics out there in these Xfinity machines. So we'll see if he's able to make his run back up there. I have to imagine Rideout was very apologetic after that incident. Rideout, one of the more cleaner drivers here in this series. So Austin Reedy there, he's going on by a lap car there. That's the 36 of Jack Johnson, who we saw involved in an incident at the beginning of this race. So Johnson now 2 laps down. Now Ray going on by.
And speaking of leaders, as everything's kind of gotten stretched out, I kind of teased you with this during the commercial break, and I'll throw it out to you, and I'll throw it out to the audience as well. Maybe we'll run this a few laps here, but in Iowa Xfinity Series history in real life, there's only one driver that won multiple races in the 15 or so years that they ran here. You know who that driver was, and I'll give you a hint: a former NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Okay. Gonna have to think about this. Former Cup Series champion. I have to go with, I feel like, the low-hanging fruit here, and I'm gonna take Kyle Busch.
You know, I could see the rationale, but no, just one win there for Kyle.
Yeah.
But we can let this stew a little bit. Maybe come back to it in a few laps here.
It's going to be hard to talk and think at the same time, but I like that. I had a name in mind. I was going to say like an Allgaier for some reason, but once you said the NASCAR Cup Series champion, it changed me up a little bit, so that's a good little clue.
Yeah, and I'll keep an eye on the chat, too, see if anybody's got anything.
Yeah,
so if you got any guesses there in the chat.
Yeah, nobody we'll check your cookies. We'll check your cookies.
Honor code, yeah.
Well, coming back to the stripe here, we're going to have 50 laps to go here for Austin Reedy, who's been kind of out in cruise control, just like we've been here up in the booth, you could say, for a few laps being. So he's starting to step out a little bit as Jovi Ray was knocking on that door a few laps ago. He's got out to almost a 1-second lead now.
Yeah, and we can have a little bit of fun because I'm pretty sure most everybody out there about a half second or so away from each other out on the racetrack. I think the closest battle we got right now, 7th and 8th, and wow, right on cue. Daniel Bowdler and Logan Truitt sitting there. That's the closest battle we really got. You saw side-by-side back there with Logan Joyner, that going around the lap car of Jack Johnson. So pretty stretched out here in Iowa at this 7/8 mile track.
Now let me bring up the track map so everybody can get kind of an idea of how this field is starting to spread out. There you see Max Service is going to be the next car in line to possibly go a lap down. Reedy not too far behind him. But besides that, still a healthy margin between our leader and the rest of the field. So that's a look at the track map here, or track map. Can't even say my words anymore, Brandon. You got me all stumped on this trivia. Not used to trivia in the booth.
Yeah, and I see Tyler Murray in the chat, and said, didn't Christopher Bell win the last two? He won the next to last one. Chase Briscoe won the final race here, so not Christopher Bell, no.
And he's not a defending Cup Series champion either. I will say that on Christopher Bell. So, man, you got me stumped. I don't think it was Larson.
No, not Larson.
Man. Logano?
No, you know what? I think I'll put you out of your misery on this one here. About 5 laps went by. 3-time winner and hide the beer because Brad Keselowski is the multi-time winner out there, doing it back-to-back at one point. But yeah, 3 wins in Iowa.
You know what's odd is I know Keselowski had a good career in the Xfinity Series. Just not a memorable one. I just did not even think about that, and totally forgot about him back in the JR Junior Motorsports '88 Navy machine. That was a cool car.
Yeah, he had that. He still had the Penske ride too, running the 22 back when he had that big rivalry with Carl Edwards.
Nobody worries about them.
So.
Nobody worries about them.
That would be your answer for trivia tonight, and now I think I might have to do this every time now.
Oh, you got some satisfaction out of that. I know you did, but that was a good one. I wouldn't have gotten Brad Keselowski there. So right now, Kyle Benson, he's going to the inside here of Jacob Manning, a current points leader. Manning falling back a little bit now. He is currently in 5th, got up to 4th for a minute, but Benson knocking on the door now. Benson slowly picking him off, up 16 spots from where he started here tonight. So some big movers and some big fallers too here.
I tell you what, a couple of the names that are moving through the field that we haven't really talked a whole lot about, and wow, right as I was about to say one of them, Justin Wright out onto pit road. I'm guessing he's thinking that he's not going to be able to stretch it the rest of the way. That's going to be tight though, but he's coming down right about halfway from where they came down last time to the finish of the race, so that kind of tells me he's cutting it in half. I had a thought that these guys would make it the rest of the way, but it looks like that might be in question.
Yeah, no, Cole Martin has come down. He came down on lap 95 4 laps ago, and seeing Jeremy Little come down now in the 26 machine. So I think it's about to get a little busy on pit road.
So I tell you the other thing that might happen here too, if they might, because the fuel was going to be a little close, but they might have been able to. This might be more of a tire call out here with the amount of fall off that we're seeing on these lap times. They might be thinking, you know what, I'm going to come down, and if anybody stays out, more power to them, but we're going to be a couple seconds a lap faster out here.
Well, let's see here. I could pull up some numbers, crunching in. Not sure if you can hear the keyboard, Brandon, but typing in some numbers here so we can see a lap time comparison. So this is Cole Martin, who we said is on the fresh tires, and Martin a second lap or a second faster that last time by, and we'll see the next time by he goes on by that start finish line. I have to imagine we'll see probably over a second gained here.
Yeah, those first couple laps, still getting those tires warmed up and also making passes those first couple laps, including around the race leader where you kind of dance on eggshells a little bit there. But still about a second, which not as much as I anticipated, so maybe a little bit of conserving the tires there too for Martin. But yeah, that's still significant around a racetrack that it's only about 25 seconds to get around.
Yeah, so Reed and Logan Truitt coming down as well, and Jacob Manning is coming off pit road, so he's gotten his service here in that 50 machine. And something I didn't notice as he pulled off pit road, he's got some heavy damage to the right side of that 50 car. I have to imagine that's kind of stalled him out too.
Yeah, that was that caught me off guard. We haven't seen anything that against that right side, but that doesn't really look like wall damage. That might be car damage, maybe a little bit of contact with somebody, and oh wow, nearly contact there with Corey Stahl. And there's the difference right there in the speeds here as race leader Austin Reedy onto pit road.
Yeah, Reedy coming down here, Bowdler as well, Logan Joyner all opting to come down. That's going to leave Josh Siegfried out there on pit road as you see this very out of focus camera here. I got to go ahead and fire whoever this cameraman is, because my goodness, you can barely see. But Reedy coming down to his stall all the way here at the end, and a few others coming on behind him. That's handed it over to Josh Siegfried. That's going to get him that all-important bonus point.
Yeah, and I think he stayed out another lap here just because I don't think he knew that he led that last lap. It was close. He barely edged out Austin Reedy, who was coming down pit road, so that might have been a little bit of a tough call there, just staying out one extra lap. He needs to get down pit road now, though, on this time, or else he's going to really be hit by that undercut that's going on by everybody else out there. Staying out is going to be difficult, and here he comes down pit road. Little bit of a sneaky pit road to get down onto. You see that inside wall just kind of disappear, and it's a little bit of a blind entry going on to this as you slow that car up to 40 miles an hour.
So Josh Siegfried making his stop here. The last stop of the night, hopefully, for the 60 machine. The 47 of Cody Neal going to go out to P1 after starting in the first row. He's back out in front of this thing in that Fireball machine.
And he did lead last time by, but he's still going to stay out there. And he's not anybody that's going to be running for the playoff spots or anything. He kind of joined a little bit later into the season, so he's sitting there already eliminated from playoff contention. Don't believe he'd be up for the lucky dog either with the amount of starts. So he's somebody that he can gamble with an opportunity like this. There's nothing for him to lose out there.
Ooh, 3 wide, though, for these guys. There's a lot to gain. Seth Reed right on the bumper here of Austin Reedy, who should shuffle out to the lead once all these green flag pit stops are completed here. So this would be the battle for the lead.
And the one that really took a hit, though, is Jovi Ray, who was second in the running order when the pit stop started. And you see him way back here right now running in 20th, but he's already going to be well behind Reedy, who's unlapped himself. There you see Ray racing with Justin Wright out there on the same lap with each other, so not sure what happened to Jovi. That was a huge loss of positioning there for that 24.
Yeah, they're way out in front of him going through 1 and 2 right now, so that is just a good preview of just how far back he is as Cody Neal brings his car down pit road. So he gives up the lead to make his final pit stop of the night, and that's going to cycle it out to Jeff Radke in the 8 machine. He's going to bring it down.
And that'll get Adrian Schumacher the bonus point here as we're just rotating the lead at this point. And everybody playing that strategy, if they're around that cut line of let me stay out one lap longer than everybody else. Now the question's going to be, all right, but how long is too long to stay out there? And at what point do you just say, I'm going to wait a few more laps and get super fresh tires compared to everybody else at the end and maybe make a charge late? It's a dangerous game, though, for all these guys trying to grab that bonus point, because there's going to be a point that you just run out of time to get the benefit of fresher tires.
Oh, absolutely. At some point, it's going to become a losing strategy. But, I mean, these are the strategies that you have to take. And Schumacher hasn't had the speed all night long, and that's been evident by where he's been running. This is a risk that, I'm not going to lie, I would take if I was in the shoes in this cockpit of the 82.
You know what? I can't disagree with that because, he was running in 17th to 20th for much of the night from where we were seeing. So he's trying to go for the net gain, and at the very least, if he finishes 21st, it still works out to be a pretty neutral result there, getting out in front and getting the lead there for a bonus point. So, and if he does make the playoffs, and keep in mind, we keep bringing it up, the Xfinity playoff opener is at the Roval. If there's anybody that's going to be a favorite for the lucky dog if they don't make the playoff, that's going to be Adrian Schumacher at a road course.
Yep.
So that bonus point could go a long, long way because it's going to carry over to the playoff.
Yeah, I've heard from Nick Halda kind of dreading the fact that the playoff lucky dog race is the Roval. He's not the biggest on road courses and knows that if this man is outside the top 15, he's going to have a good shot at maybe making his way into the playoffs. So we'll keep an eye and see if Schumacher can maybe steal one right here as he blinks out there for a split second. Josh Siegfried coming up behind him now. He's going to be the next to unlap himself.
But I'm looking at that pylon, though, on the left side, and Austin Reedy was about 23 seconds back about 6 laps ago. He's now 12 seconds back of Adrian Schumacher. So these fresh tires showing that they're going to be a huge advantage here. Schumacher, I think, is just hoping at this rate a caution comes out maybe in 5-10 laps time. He's still out in front of a lot of these cars. And maybe everybody else comes down pit road and it works out to a great benefit for him. And he's just going to stay out in front of everybody.
I mean, it's very well possible that could happen, but that strategy now foiled.
Never mind.
He is going to bring it down pit road. We'll see if Susi and Stahl bring it down as well with Beyer and Fuge. That'll cycle it back out to Austin Reedy out in front of this thing once they do just that. But so far, Susie not opting to bring it down.
No, and if you're Corey Stahl, you're begging Josh Susie to come down this time by, and then you'll run one more lap, get that bonus point, because he's somebody that's close to that cut line as well. See if the 53 comes down pit road. He does. The 33 stays out, so bonus point now for Corey Stahl, and I think we're probably up to double-digit leaders now in this green flag pit sequence.
Oh, yeah, it has to be, no doubt. We're going to have a lot of bonus points handed out to a lot of these drivers here. And I tell everybody every week, it's just so important to carry these into the playoffs. Sure, it's good to get you to the playoffs too, but these will be very important once these points reset. So Stahl grabbing that bonus point and bringing his car down immediately. Seeing a lot of guys take a very conservative approach to coming down pit road, so he is not going to have any problems. That's going to cycle the lead back out to the 96 of Austin Reedy. So that's going to give us an opportunity to step aside for one more quick commercial break, and we'll come right back with the exciting conclusion of the Hawkeye 125.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Back out here at Iowa Speedway. Right now, this is the battle for 6th place. The two teammates, Daniel Bowdler and Logan Joyner, going toe-to-toe here out of turn number 2. Nothing changing out front, though. Austin Reedy still leads the way. Balliet in second, Seth Reed in third.
And one thing that did happen during the commercial break, you see that 53 at Josh Susie. He was leading not long before the green flag cycle completed, but got into trouble out on the back straightaway, spun it into the inside wall. No caution came out, obviously. That 53 done for the night, and that might be some big implications when it comes to the regular season championship that'll be decided next week.
Yeah, I also want to check in, too, on those drivers that we saw kind of staying out a little bit to get that bonus point here. We'll see if it's a net gain or a big loss here. Corey Stahl comes out in 22nd. So at the end of the day, that bonus point's important, but was it worth it? It's currently sitting 6 points outside the cut line. He's going to need to make up some ground here.
Another one there, Adrian Schumacher. He's going to be in the lucky dog position right now, running in the 18th spot. First one lap down. And you see him, he's closing in on getting that lap back naturally. which Bo Tiffany would be a big fan of. That would put him into the lucky dog spot. But these fresher tires, it's not going to be that fresh, and trying to work your way around the race leader, always got to be a little bit more cautious there. And I mean, it might happen here in the next few laps, but that's a strategy that I'm not too sure is going to pay off here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I got to respect it. I mean, like we said, he was running around this point here. He's about to get his lap back, and here he goes. So he doesn't have to worry about that, but I think it's going to be hard for him to catch up to anybody else. Now he's got Cole Martin well out in front of him, but Cole on 20-lap older tires might be able to get up to 17th here, but from there on forward, it's going to be hard to catch up to a Racky or a Bishop there in the top 15.
And at the end of the day, that's not a big hit, because like we were saying, he was running around the 17th, 18th position already before that. So it kind of works. He picks up an extra point there, and at the end of the day, 1 point might be the difference that's needed to get Adrian Schumacher into the playoffs. And man, there's a whole lot of people that want him to get into the playoffs on points, that's for sure.
So we'll see if he's able to do just that. Right now, a good side-by-side battle for the teammates here out of PVR. Josh Siegfried to the outside of Jeremy Little. Max Service, he's out there on some of the oldest tires on the track, starting to fall a little bit through the field after we saw him stay out and get that bonus point a lot earlier in the race. And so far, it's kind of paid off, but he needs these 10 laps to tick off quickly here for the 81.
Yeah, he certainly does that, or just get a caution and get back on track with everybody else. Because at this point, pretty sure for the I'm not going to say everybody, but just about everybody probably going to come down pit road if a caution came out in the next couple laps.
So 10 laps to go here at the Hawkeye 125. A lot of green flag runs here so far tonight. So why not end it with one? Austin Reedy crossing the stripe to take 9 laps to go here, and nobody in sight for the most part. Balliet 1.3 seconds back, and not really too much a difference in tires here for about the top 10. Those guys that pitted late, you're going to find them really back in like 14th, 15th. So Reedy not much to worry about right now with 8 to go.
Yeah, that entire top 10 sitting within a 3-lap range of each other on when they came down pit road, so that's going to be pretty neutral for sure. It's just going to take a mistake at this point, and really looking at much of the positions, I think the only real battle right now inside that top 10 going to be 6th to 9th, and they're kind of separated by about a second and a third from Bowdler back to Ray, so that's going to be kind of the most exciting racing that we got here right now. But for the most part, I mean, if you're Austin Reedy, you kind of like that it's a little bit dull right now. There's not a whole lot going on, and that's going to be a safe position for him.
A little bit of a scary moment there. Bowdler pulling off a little bit of a slide job on the 99 of Craig Lautenslager, a lap down car. So Lautenslager probably not too pleased with that, but nonetheless, Bowdler gets through safely, and the 99, he gets through safely as well. So Joyner going on by here too. And Logan Truitt going to the inside now, so that's going to be our closest battle. This is for 7th.
That's for 7th, and that's going to have a lot of implications, because remember the other thing too, and we kind of get caught up in regular season champion or who's going to make the playoffs. Remember those top 15 positions are going to get bonus points as well, and it's going to be dictated by the position that you finish the regular season in. These are two guys that look pretty comfortable right now. They're still kind of having to do a little bit of work tonight and at Michigan. This run that they're both having, they should be in at the end of tonight and could kind of relax a little bit at Michigan, but they're still fighting for that positioning and the bonus points that'll be awarded for being inside that top 15.
Yeah, so and it's always funny too. I feel like the two Logans that we have here in the league are always racing around each other. So no surprise to see the 9 and the 65 nose to tail. So Austin Reedy comes around to take 4 laps to go. He's going to put Cole Martin a lap down now. That's going to leave 17 cars here on the lead lap. The last one going to be Adrian Schumacher, who we saw get his lap back not too long ago. So coming back around, 3 laps to go, still not solidified just yet. Anything can happen here in 3 laps.
Especially with the nature of racing that the short track does bring, but for the most part, I think Austin kind of relaxed just a little bit, because there's not a whole lot of side-by-side racing going on right now. It seems like for the most part, everybody pretty content with where they are, or they just got enough of a gap that there's not really much to be fighting at here. So this might bode pretty well. I'm not going to say that with much certainty, because we still got to get around another 7/8 of a mile before we can get to that white flag.
Yeah, so 2 more laps to go. He's got nothing around him, and closest battle still between the two Logans further on back for 7th place. Joyner currently holding off Truitt, but other than that, really not much else going on. You got Jeremy Little going with Justin Rideout right here, but coming back to the stripe, the white flag is out. The 96 staring down the possibility of claiming his 2nd win on the season.
And just a real steady race there for that 96 car. We saw all that kind of musical chairs out in front, but when it's been green and out of that pit sequence, that Austin Reedy car looked real strong tonight.
Yeah, started 3rd, but coming home number 1, crossing the stripe to take the checker flag at the Hawkeye 125. So he is going to be real excited to get back around and do some donuts. Been a few weeks, a few months you could say, since we've seen this 96 in victory lane, but one of the more consistent drivers here. He needed a big night for his Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates, and he certainly delivered.
Yeah, that's a huge night right now for Murray Reedy Motorsports. They're going to get 2 in the top 4 as Kyle Benson going to finish in position number 4 as well. So that's a big night there as they had a high-profile matchup this week against Tank Racing that didn't have as strong of a run as they might have expected. So we might be seeing Murray Reedy taking the race and also the team win over the number 1 seed this season.
Yeah, I'm looking at the scoreboard and just doing some quick math, and from the looks of it, I'd have to say Murray Reedy Motorsports did go ahead and defeat Tank Racing here this week. So Tank Racing staring down a 2-race losing streak and falling through the standings here. So big developments here as we go towards the later part of season number 4 in the Silverback Series.
Absolutely, and see a little bit of a Polish victory lap here for Austin Reedy around this short track out in Newton, Iowa, and man, this track just always brings some pretty solid racing, and this was a super clean race for a short track tonight.
Yeah, man, you know, if you build it, the solid racing will come, Brandon.
Oh, my.
I had to try it at least once here tonight, but
Yeah,
awesome.
I can't say anything. I brought up the Replacements last night, so we got all kinds of movie references going.
Great movie, by the way, so I can't fault you for that. But great race, like we said here. Austin Reedy still celebrating down there. He's your winner here tonight by a 2.5 over Tank Racing's Joshua Balliet. Seth Reed gets 3rd place for JW, and Kyle Benson comes home 4th, with Jacob Manning rounding out the top 5.
Got 4 PVR cars in the next group of 5 with Daniel Bowdler in 6th, Logan Joyner in 7th. Logan Truitt going to break up that party for JBR. He'll be in position number 8 with Jovi Ray and Josh Siegfried rounding out the top 10.
Max Service is going to come home in 11th, so I think that call ended up working out pretty nicely for the driver of the 81 here tonight. Justin Rideout comes home in 12th, Jeremy Little in 13th, Jeff Radke 14th, and Chris Bishop in 15th.
16th place will go to Cody Neal. Adrian Schumacher, we saw that late pit stop that he took, and he's going to be the last one on the lead lap, but kind of where he was, 17th place before those pit stops. Cole Martin, first one lap down in 18th. Bo Tiffany, also 1 lap down in 19th, as is Corey Stahl, who will round out the top 20.
So what do you say we go ahead, track down Seth Reed, our 3rd place finisher, and bring him on up to the booth. Here he is. We'll go ahead and move him on up to the broadcast booth. Seth, it's Brandon Domain and Greg Olenek joining you up here in the SRN broadcast booth. I picked you to win here tonight, but you come home in 3rd nonetheless. Still a great run for you out here. How you feeling as we get ever so close to those playoffs?
Man, I'm just more relieved than anything. This first top 5 since Kansas. Just had a lot of bad luck and a lot of mistakes, so good momentum boost here heading into the playoffs. Michigan next week, and then I'm pretty confident in all the tracks coming up, so ready to elbows up and go after them.
Yeah, and kind of what is that mentality next week? Because I'm not the way that you came in plus 25, the 3rd place going to help. You should be good, but I'm not going to say locked in, because we don't have the official numbers just yet. But if you're still got a little bit of work to do there, what's that kind of mindset going into that race? You'll have a big buffer regardless, but what are you kind of looking there at Michigan, and what's that mindset going in?
Just prepare and try to be the fastest car, and that pretty much solves most issues if you're the fastest car and don't make mistakes. So tonight, I mean, I was a little bit more conservative tonight just because, short track, I'm just 20 points ahead. I could have forced the issue with Josh there that last run. I made one move, but after that, I was like, nah, he has lap fresher tires and don't want to put us in a bad spot. So, I was honestly waiting for a caution because that's how this year's been, and rack them back up and then get taken out. So I'm glad caution didn't come out. Everyone minded their P's and Q's out there. So respect everybody for that, and everyone gave each other room. And this track was hard to pass on here in the night race. Last year in the day race, it was pretty fun. It was tire conservation, but tonight it was just everyone running the exact same lap time. So hats off to Austin. So he got track position there and didn't look back. So that's what I was trying to get on the pit road a lap before I saw Jacob pit. So I tried to pull in the lap later, hoping that the fresh tires would at least get me a bonus point for lap lead, but unfortunately didn't get that.
Well, before we let you go and get ready for Michigan next week, Seth, who you got to thank out there tonight?
All right. Well, since it's been almost 6 months since the last time I've interviewed, so I have about six people to thank. First off, Betsy, supporting JW Racing. Unfortunately, I couldn't get them top 5 the last 2 weeks running that paint scheme, but back to Warrior Wraps as my sponsor for this year. I haven't done to represent them too well, but hats off to them. They make they make great wraps, and I've been using them since I've been on iRacing. So check them out. Use discount code SR51 for 10% off first order. Rogue Energy for supporting the team for the last couple years. Use discount code JW Racing. JW Racing, like to thank them. Hats off. They brought me on board. The teamwork's been great. They've made me faster. I feel like I've made them faster, hopefully. So it's been a good relationship here. Hats off to Justin bringing me on. He's a great leader, great captain. My teammates. And lastly is Highline. They brought me on. And I left them last year. I've been trying to help them out, and they're a great group of dudes over there. So hats off to Highline and Daniel for organizing that team. And that's it for now. Hopefully next week I can thank them all again.
Yeah, man, come on. I've missed talking to you up here. Miss racing with you out there. So this is my only chance to really get to talk to you. So good to see you up here. And best of luck, man, getting into the playoffs. You had a great season so far, so make it happen this year.
Thanks, man. It's great to be back up here. Hopefully I'll talk to y'all next week, too.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You too. Thanks.
All right, so that was Seth Reed coming home, P number 3. We're going to go ahead and track down Joshua Balliet now, bring him on up into the broadcast booth. Joshua, it's Brandon Domain and Greg Olenek up here in the SRN broadcast booth. P2 for you here tonight in that 7 machine. You look like you had a bad hot rod, but came up one spot short. Tell us about your race here tonight.
Just the name of the race, track position, qualified 4th. Fell back to, I think, 5th at the very beginning, and I don't know what everyone else had, but I'd move to the top in 3 and 4 and lose time, and everyone else would just fly on the top of 3 and 4. I had to race the bottom the whole time. I don't know if they were racing on a different steering ratio or what, but they were just flying on the top of 3 and 4. I couldn't do that.
At the end of the night, that runner-up finish, you kind of made the math a little bit easy, and we can go ahead and say congrats on getting into the playoffs. You came in just about already locked in, but that second going to do the job there. So Michigan next week, regular season championship on the line there. Going to be drawn a little bit closer to Jacob Manning for that one. How do you feel about possibly taking that regular season title next week?
I don't feel too well in it. I'm not a big track kind of driver. I'm only good at tracks where it's good on, heavy on brake. Not good where the racing is just lifting back on big tracks. I'm just not aggressive enough to do that.
Well, Josh, we're excited to see you up here as always, and we're excited to see what you can do once we get to the playoffs here in the Silverback Series. Before we move on to Michigan next week, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yep. Hunterdon Anesthesia Associates, Healthcare Billing, 213 Simware, Invader Zim Designs, RJ Bishop Designs, Berg Arts Designs. All my teammates went out here, had a pretty good run. Not the run that they would have liked, but Max got a bonus point leading the lap, so that was good. And Ed for spotting.
All right, man. It's like you had that list ready to go. Rip it right off. So have a good
Yeah,
night, man.
I said enough.
Yeah, have a good night, man, and we'll see you out there at Michigan.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Joshua Balliet coming home. P number 2. That means we got one more man to get to, and that's going to be Austin Reedy. Let's go ahead, jump down to the Murray Reedy Motorsports Discord. Bring him on up here. Austin, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain joining you here in the SRN broadcast booth. Congratulations, man. It's been a few races since we've seen you at Victory Lane, but nonetheless, that 96 Park there tonight. How you feeling?
Pretty good. That was a great race. I was not expecting to be this kind of dominant tonight. But I just stuck to my own line and just try to execute everything the way that I needed to. Save the tires in the long run, have a solid pit stop.
It was a great night and a twofold in that too, because you came in about 60 points above that cut line. Obviously, with the win, you're going to be unofficially in the playoffs now until that becomes official when we confirm those numbers. So a little bit less pressure next week. So how do you go and approach Michigan before looking ahead to those playoffs?
I think I'm going to approach Michigan the same way I did tonight. Tonight, I told the boys down there I was just going to try to maybe stay out long on a green flag run and get that one bonus point for the playoffs, and then maybe try to keep that 0x going so we get another one. But it actually played out better. We actually got an extra 5 for the win, so I maybe got another one for most laps split. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that, but that's going to be the game plan going into Michigan. Did the same thing we did tonight. Just take it nice and easy and just try to maximize these bonus points going these next couple of races.
Well, before we get to the thank yous, I want to go ahead and ask you too before how important is it to you, this team championship as well? Because you guys had a tough match out there against Tank Racing tonight, and you guys came away with the win, I do believe, here unofficially. You guys getting the 1st, 4th, and 15th. That's going to get you a win over the top team here in the team championship. How's that feel as well?
I think it feels great. I think that we've been overshadowed, I feel like, all season. I think we have close to 3rd place points total in the team championship, and we're 5-5-1, which is crazy. We just had some bad weeks, but there's just some weeks like this where we can bring it together and we can get all get good finishes. So we're gonna try. I know how I think if it's like last year how the playoffs work, we'll all show up. I know Tyler had things to do tonight and he wasn't able to make it, but we're all gonna put in the time and we're gonna go for the team championship.
Well, we love to hear that, man. That's why we made it the way we did this season. It's definitely shaking things up, but you guys are having a good stretch here lately, so we'll see how you guys do in the next couple of weeks. But before we move on to Michigan, who you got to thank tonight, Austin?
Tyler Murray, he always helps me out with my paints and helps out with this team so much all the time. And TJ's team, it's a great foundation. Check them out at morethanthecape.org.
Well, from one Delawarean to another, Austin, I love seeing you in Victory Lane. Best of luck next week when we get to Michigan, and have a good week, man.
All right, hell yeah, boys.
All right, so that was Austin Reedy coming home P number 1, our winner for the Hawkeye. 125, Brandon, and not the most exciting race, but an interesting one nonetheless. A lot of strategies being played out there tonight. Ultimately won by Austin Reedy.
Yeah, it's one of those races that kind of reminds you don't have to have side-by-side every single lap for a race to be intriguing and to be an interesting race. And I thought we saw a lot of different strategies, like you pointed out, and it really looked like it was a battle of that track position, like we've been hearing a lot over those post-race interviews. So it really boded for that aggression on the strategy, and that really played out for Austin Reedy. And hey, last night we kind of crowned the king of the super speedway this season with Kyle Spees. We've got the king of the Midwest, Kansas and Iowa. A sweep for the Midwestern states there for Austin Reedy.
So Austin Reedy feeling pretty good after tonight, so he is not going to have too much to worry about when we get on to Michigan next week. But that's exactly where these boys are going to be at. Like we keep saying, all 3 series going to be out there. They're going to have the Great Lakes 160. That's going to be February 2nd. So right here on Speed Racing Network, same time, same place. So if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that little bell so you know exactly when we go live next week. But that's going to do it for all of us here tonight. For myself, Brandon Domain, Sean Griffith, Jason Tripp, and each and every one of the drivers here behind the scenes, we wish you all a good night and go faster.